Okay, guys, we come to that part in the club where we have got something to shout about. Something, can you see that? It's back to front. Something to shout about. Because, as you can see here, who have we got? Dun, 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 dun. We've got Marc Baker here. Now, listen, mate. Oh, my goodness. You've got something to really share and shout about, haven't you? Some really great news. Do you want to, it's over to you, mate. Say what you want, but my goodness, this is something to shout about.
Yeah, well, this is going to be on tomorrow, so I will act as if it's tomorrow. So today,
They're not supposed to know that, Mark. This is live.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. So today, guys,
yeah, right now,
Thursday, the 17th of the 6th, I am 3 years clean. 3 years clean from all moon and mind altering substances.
This is great, mate. Come on, tell us a little bit about it, because I mean, I've known you actually coming up for 3 years, because you came along to the club not long after you went into rehab, didn't you?
Yeah, it was.
You were in under one roof.
No, the very first one, I was in the audience watching, because I was a resident in Jattis, and I watched the first one, and then I ended up relapse. I didn't relapse because I never got clean to relapse. So I ended up leaving the rooms, leaving the rehab that I was in, Jattis, and I went back out there for another 8.5 months. And during that 8.5 months, I remember at the end of those 8.5 months, I had a roof over my head, I had drugs, I had everything what I thought I needed, and yet it was the most painful, miserablest time in my life. And I think having a little taste of recovery, of seeing people that it was possible, it stuck in my mind. So when I carried on using, I had like a body full of drugs, but I had a head knowing there was recovery, and it was really horrible.
How long have you been using? You'd been taking drugs for years, hadn't you?
25 years without one day clean. 25 years, and I never got a day clean in them. And the last 18 years of that, I was a street using intravenous heroin user. And it's bizarre, because I remember that phone call like it was yesterday, ringing up the manager at the time of the rehab, and I said, I've got loads of money in this hand, I've got loads of drugs in this hand, and I thought I wanted to kill myself, but I didn't. Now, thinking back on it, I didn't want to die. I wanted to live, but I didn't know how. You know, I was in that really dark, miserable place where kind of addiction took me. And he said, it sounds like coming to us and go into the rooms that you go to, the fellowship that you go to has really messed you using up, Mark. And I said, yeah, it's not the same anymore. And it was kind of like, it's weird, because I tell my partner some things, like she'll say, have you ever done that? Or, you know, did you ever do that? When we see things on telly, or, you know, she hears about stuff. And when I tell her, and when I tell her some stories, she's like, she looks at me in bewilderment, because the person she knows isn't the person that I used to be, you know. And I don't know, you know, a lot of people, or some people might watch it, might only know me through my journey since being clean, or know me recently. But I was no different than, you know, and I don't want to, I'm not stereotyping it, but I'm just speaking as it is. I'm no different than the ones that you see sat round Castle Circus that look hopeless and lost. That was me. That was me not many years ago, you know. Yeah,
but you because your partner, she's in recovery as well, isn't she?
Yeah.
So that must be really great for you guys to actually be a mutual support.
Oh yeah, it is. It's really good, because you know, I do my recovery, she does her recovery, but we're recovering together.
Yeah.
So if I need to go to a meeting, or I need to go and ring my sponsor, or if a newcomer rings me and I say to my partner at the last minute, look, there's someone really struggling, I need to go and meet him for a coffee, you know, because I never forget where I come from. That's one thing I try not to forget, is where I come from. And she knows, so she'll just be like, yeah, of course, go and do it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same. If she needs to do it, I'm the same. So we know what we've got to do to stay clean.
Yeah. Now we've got Julie coming in actually from Jattis today. She's going to actually be talking to us about the work at Jattis. Do you want to just share a little bit about how that helped and how it worked for you?
Yeah, do you know what? I'll be forever grateful for Jattis, because all my years using the drug services, seeing counsellors, doctors, psychiatrists, all these different places, not one time, unless it was, and I just wasn't in a place to hear it, was it mentioned about going to the fellowships. And I'm not going to lie, the rehab really supported me and it helped me. And when I come in, I remember getting taken to a shop to do some shopping for myself. And I stood in the middle of Asda and I had like a panic attack, because I just didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was buying. I didn't know, what ingredients to get to see me through, because I'd never done it. It was all just so new. So I had to be learned like really basic stuff. Even showering every morning at the beginning was hard. It was really, really hard. Like, the literature I read, it said it takes some of us to like that animalistic level. And that's the way I used to live. I wouldn't wash, change my clothes, feed myself. Everything was just neglected, because all I wanted to do was use. I totally lost myself. And Jattis was a massive part in supporting me, starting off at the basic level and building me back up. And they suggested going to to drama. And I struggled with that. I used to sit over in the corner and just watch you guys for ages, and I just want to leave. I didn't even want to be there. Everything was just really, really hard at the beginning. But recovery is not easy. I don't believe recovery is hard. I believe what made it hard is my resistance to it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know any other way to live. But once I started just turning up, doing the things, going against the grain. So every time my head would say, don't do that, it's a waste of time, it's a load of whatever, just don't do it. I do it because I needed to do something different.
Yeah. So really, you had to get to rock bottom before you actually realised that, though. Would you say that's fair?
It is, but there's a tricky thing with rock bottoms, Martin. I had a lot more consequential rock bottoms when I was using, and that didn't stop me using. Consequences have never stopped me using. I had to come to a place where I was just dead inside. My rock bottom was an internal one.
Yeah.
Like I said, I tried to commit suicide once. I took a massive overdose, and I come around like 2 days later. And I always thought I wanted to die because I just had enough of the way I was living, but I didn't. I wanted to live. I just didn't know how to live. I didn't know how to live life without using drugs. That was my solution to everything. And it worked to start with. Yeah. But then it gets to a point where it doesn't work, and things have got to change. And I finally, with the support of Jattis and the local drug services, I managed to do my detox. And then
how long were you in Jattis for? So you went into Jattis and you were in for, how many weeks do you normally go in for?
I'd done 19 weeks, but I was still mucking around using. Then I disappeared for 8.5 months. Then I come back again. And I think I was in there in total before I actually left. It was about 2 years, just over 2 years.
Wow. And was that where you met your partner in Jattis?
No, well, I was in Jattis at the time, but I actually met her going to the rooms. We started to speak in, and then we just started getting to know each other.
So, obviously, Mark, you are a real testament to, recovery can happen. And you're just such a great guy. And, to actually think of what you were, it's hard to believe that now, and you've got your act together and you've got your little family and your son and stuff. And, what would you say was the big difference now? And what is the thing that keeps you clean, do you think?
Well, it's all the things I do. I have to work. See, I always used to think, if I had enough money, everything would be all right. If I had the right job, everything would be all right. If I had the right girlfriend, everything would be all right. If I lived in the right area, everything would be all right. And I was always looking outside to change what I thought was my problem. But what I realized was none of that matters. None of that external stuff matters. It's what's going on inside here. So I have to change from the inside out. Because if I don't go within, I end up going without.
And how did that happen, mate? How did that happen?
For me, it was the process of going through. The only thing that's had the ability to change my perception, the way I see the world. So as an addict, I live in fear. I live in resentment. I tend to gossip. I live in depression. I live in anxiety, panic attacks, all of that stuff. And the only way I deal with that is when I went through the process of the steps, where there's spiritual principles within the steps. When I actually start realizing that I don't have to live the way that I lived, and it's not all of this stuff outside here that makes me feel anything, it's my perception of things, then I started to go through the steps, then organically a change started to happen.
Yeah.
And it's brought me to a relationship with my God. It's brought me to a relationship with myself. And then that enables me to then have relationships with other people. And that's all I ever wanted. But I just didn't know how. I just couldn't do it.
Well, that's amazing. Mark, it's really amazing. And you're doing a great job as well, because you're actually work as a mentor now, don't you, and a facilitator within NA as part of your service. I mean, how important is that to you actually to be sort of pulling people up from where you were and helping people along the way?
It's massive, Martin, because that's the way it works. If people come in, if everyone came in, got clean, thought life was great and disappeared, then it would wither and die. So if people had done that before me, then I wouldn't have been able to get clean. The people, I believe, gratitude to me is a feeling and an action. So if I say that I'm grateful for something, I need to show that gratitude. So I show my gratitude by being of service to NA. And like I said, I never want to forget where I come from, and the life that I lived, kindness wasn't shown very much. It was a dog eat dog world. I would do anything to get what I wanted and vice versa. So when I come in and people started showing me kind of empathy and just started to show me a bit of compassion and a bit of love, I always thought there was an ulterior motive. I was always suspicious of it, and I didn't know how to receive it. But it was that love that kind of held me. It held me and it carried me along. And then the more that I kind of realized that people didn't necessarily want something from me, they just wanted to be there and help me, then I started to believe it, started to feel it. And that's all I want to do now is, if someone's coming in and they're struggling, I'm more than happy to help anybody, because I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for the people that done it in front of me.
Yeah. Well, Mark, that is fantastic. I tell you, mate, it's really encouraging. It's so encouraging to, hear your story and, really appreciate, you coming on and we just want to celebrate with you. It really is something to shout about. I mean, it's a massive achievement. And, mate, you have so much respect for me. I tell you, you guys, I think for a lot of people, perhaps when they fall over and they go back and then they try again, it does work, doesn't it, Mark? And, it doesn't always happen the first time, but, keep persevering and keep at it. What would you say to those guys who perhaps really struggling at the moment?
Just don't ever give up. It took me 25 years to get one day clean. So I didn't get it, I didn't get it young. I didn't get it first time. I mean, admittedly, since I've got, clean, as in I'm not taking nothing, I've not used again. But I know that's only because I go to the rooms and I do what I do. I continually work on myself. The minute I stop going to meetings, the minute I stop connecting with people, the minute I lose my relationship with God, the minute I stop doing this, working on my spiritual condition, praying, meditating, the minute I stop that will be the minute that I end up going backwards. And I'm under no illusion that once that starts to happen, I will become powerless again. And my solution to living life will be to use drugs again. I know 100% that will be my answer if I go backwards. So what I do is I've got a routine. I get up in the morning, I pray first thing. Sometimes I go up on the downs. I do about half an hour, 40 minutes just to center myself, get connected. Because if I get up and just run off doing my day, everything gets a bit overwhelming and too much. So I've got to start it off nice and calm, and then I connect with people, reach out to newcomers. Because I suffer with self-obsession. So, all my problems are always the worst and everything's going on for me and it's their fault. But when I'm helping somebody else, it gets me out of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Start thinking of others, working on myself, and just helping the next person.
Well done, mate. Well done. Listen, so much respect from us, I tell you, mate, and you are a real inspiration to a lot of people.
Yeah, if anyone's struggling, like you said, Martin, they've just got to keep trying. They've just got to keep trying. And it's like recovery to me is like a dripping tap over a bucket. It doesn't just get opened up and you get recovery. You know, it drips over time, and over time, the penny starts to sink, and then people work out what works for them, because not everyone's recovery is the same.
No.
Not you know, what works for me might not work for everybody else. What worked for other people might not work for me. So you just need to keep picking yourself up, trying, and then, you know, there's no such thing as failing, because if you get yourself back up and you try again, you haven't failed, because you've learned something. You've learned what not to do, or what, you know, or what to do, and then you just got to keep trying, and then eventually, God willing, everything will be okay.
Yeah. Well, brilliant, Mark. Well, listen, well done. Congratulations on your 3 years. Massive respect. I think, you know, it's really fantastic. So listen, mate, thanks for coming on. And, you know, you're such a great part of Unleashed. I mean, and what is amazing is what a great actor you've become, you know, aside of your rehab. My gosh. I mean, you know, Crossing the Switchblade, we're going to be looking back at that in a few weeks' time. My goodness, your portrayal of Israel was amazing. I mean, you are such a natural. So it's great having you in the group. So thank you, mate. All right. So have a good day and celebrate, and we'll see you soon. Take care, mate.
I will. Take care.
God bless. Take care.
God bless.